So, welcome back to Red Hot Marriage.
Yay!
This episode is going to be a fun one because we've talked in the past of like lies that we believed in marriage.
Yes.
And this one is going to focus on why your spouse is shutting down. Many times we don't know what it is that is happening in the marriage, but we want to fix it, desperately want to fix it, but we don't even know the signs. So, we're going to talk today about that.
Well, today is going to be the perfect podcast to discover just that.
Exactly. So let's begin. Do you have a question for me now?
Not really. but
Okay.
but talking about this, I can retrace like my steps back when
Mm-hmm.
we got married and the
Yeah.
first years of marriage, and I can pinpoint a time that I felt disconnected, that I
Mm-hmm.
felt that I was shutting down,
Mm-hmm.
and I was shutting down because our financial situation. We got married when we were 21. We didn't have a lot of career options. Still going to school, still finding whatever we could,
Yeah.
and made a lot of stupid mistakes. And
Mm-hmm.
part of that was just like feeling the shame, feeling not being able to provide fully, even though it was just you and I still felt horrible about our
Mm-hmm.
situation. And it was me like shutting down. Like I would not talk about it. And that went on for years. That it was just like following like this routine, vicious cycle of, and it was just shut down,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
I remember.
Yeah. And you probably felt that
Oh,
and
I
you
did.
remember that.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I felt the distance too.
Yeah.
But you're newlyweds. You're trying to like, okay, well, maybe this is normal. I've never lived with a man that is, different than me.
Right.
So it was new to me. But I felt that shutting down. And for me, I think that my shutdown came also early on in our marriage where I didn't want to make you uncomfortable. I didn't want to like address things that were obvious because I didn't want to disrupt the peace. I didn't want to disrupt like this little honeymoon that we had going, right?
Like
So
the
it was
like the
just
apparent
the
everything's okay.
appearance, but it was
The
just an
playing
appearance.
okay.
Yeah. So it was just like, hey, if we don't touch it, maybe it'll go away.
Right, right.
so,
I get it. Yes.
so
I think
so
I
it was
did
like
some of
we're
that
just gonna
too.
avoid this
Right.
conversation,
Yeah.
right? And if we avoid it, maybe it'll change and
It'll
it'll
just
go
turn
away.
out. It'll go away. Yeah.
Exactly. So I shut down that part of me of really voicing
Yeah.
what I was feeling because in essence I'm feeling fear. I'm feeling all these different things,
Yeah.
but I didn't want to tell you because I didn't want to make you feel worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is that this doesn't happen overnight,
Yeah.
right? Like this was a day by day,
Mhm.
uh, coming into marriage, not being my brain not fully developed, and doing a lot of stupid mistakes. Um, but that is part of just the day in and day out. It
Mhm.
doesn't happen like you don't arrive on and shut down. Like you
Yeah.
just don't, unless you're pissed off and you're
Mhm.
in a really bad argument, that you just like shut down. Hey, let's take a break. Let's continue this. But aside from that,
Mhm.
the shutdown that kills relationships is the one that happens over a period of time,
Mhm.
because it doesn't happen overnight.
So true.
And that's the core issue of a shutdown that really is destructive, and in so many ways is deceiving, because you're not really expressing,
Mhm.
but it's putting pressure on your soul.
Oh,
And
that's
it's
good, huh?
and that's why you start shutting down.
Exactly. So, dismissed feelings create emotional distance. That's what eventually happens, that we start dismissing what we're really feeling, and we then start drifting and drifting further and further apart. And by the time that we know it, we are now just kind of living this false life of just like pretending that things are okay, but there is something very wrong, deep, deep within us. So, how do we get back to a place of like how do we get out of the rut of like shutdown? I know that we talk to many couples that find themselves in this space too, where they don't want to share what's really going on because they feel maybe they're going to be minimized. They're not going to be taken into consideration. It feels like complaining. It feels like nagging. It feels like all these different things. Like, what would you say to someone, maybe even a man experiencing that in his marriage?
I would go back to the way I felt, like the shutdown that was happening inside of me. It was nothing of what you were doing, right? It was a lot of what I was experiencing. And instead of me shutting down and not say what's happening in my mind, in my heart, the way I feel about the situation, uh, then that creates a shutdown. That creates that whatever you're gonna say about our experience at that moment, I'm not gonna have nothing to say because I'm shut down. Like I don't even want to even talk about it. So the step that we can take is talk about it. Let it feel the. You know what? If you're experiencing a bad season in life, it is going to be a bad season. You can't change it. Like if you talk about it, it's going to feel horrible. It's going to feel bad because it's a bad experience. It's a bad season, and that's the way it's going to
It's
feel.
a difficult season.
Yeah, that's the way. But you sharing it, oh my gosh, that's going to be a an honest, like like a honest, like whenever it's cold outside and you're eating a hot soup, a chicken soup, and for your heart, that's how it's gonna feel. It's gonna feel so warming. It's gonna feel so connecting because that truth, the honesty, is gonna come around your heart and it's gonna provide a safe space for you to disclose that. And whenever you share that, man, it's gonna be so good for your marriage.
And I think that this is something that needs to be modeled in marriage, especially even, of course, to get you healthy, get you in that healthy space, but also even with your children, that you can have those challenging conversations with each other, that you can bring up things and there is no fear in
Right.
bringing up those things to your spouse. Our kids are observing everything that we're doing, and they are also learning how to resolve conflict in their own lives, in their future. And when we haven't seen this modeled in our life early on, then we don't have the means to
Yeah.
even be able to communicate that. So when we first got married, I think that I came from a family, and we've shared this before, that there was like high tension, explosive, like we're going to share
Yeah.
everything that is going on because we're just going to leave it out here, right? And you came from a background where it was like nothing was talked about. Everything was just like supposedly great,
Yeah.
right? And there was no communication. So that's how you came into our marriage. We've had to learn that that doesn't work for us, that there needs to be communication, and acquired some of these tools through a lot of heartache
Yeah.
too.
And I think I that's why I would shut down because I thought it was like, okay, it'll go away eventually. You know,
In
eventually
hightsight, I think, you know what, that's right. I think we've
eventually this is gonna
resolved
be
our own
self
issues.
healing. It's gonna be okay. But I don't
Yeah,
think that worked.
it
I
didn't.
don't think that
It
worked.
didn't.
It
No,
never works that way.
it never does.
No,
No.
no. But you're right. Like being a good model, but that takes concerted effort, and that's like the next level of marriage, right? That you're doing things intentionally. A lot of times we talk about if you're gonna have like a discussion or an argument or whatever, to go behind closed doors, and that is true. Like you got to use discernment, but I think that you have to also use discernment in the other way. That it's okay. Like if you're having a conversation that is a disagreement, to have it in the open, be honest about it, and you can only determine how much of this can go on, right? I'm not saying if it's abusive, no, but if it's just something normal, day to day, that it's a disagreement, man, what a great honor for your kids to see how you,
Resolve.
yeah, how you argue, how you confront, how you resolve,
But how you repair.
how you repair, have you continue to love through a hard, disagreement. Oh my gosh, what a model that would be
Yeah.
to kids. And yes, like if you're having something, that it's like really serious, yeah, of course, go close doors and you solve it there. But the ones that you can, oh my gosh, that would be so awesome,
Yeah,
because that'll
because
create safety in the
so
kids
true,
too.
and just them learning what conflict resolution looks like
Yeah,
is something that will set them up for
right.
success in their work environment, in their career,
Yeah,
in every facet of life.
yeah,
And sometimes we don't learn this at home, and we have to then learn it later on in life. But that is no excuse. You still
yeah.
have to learn it. Now, let's talk about the baggage that we bring into marriage. We bring our
What
family of
baggage?
origin. None on your part, apparently. All mine. But what you bring in from family of
Yeah.
origin is really then what you're modeling now in your
Yes.
marriage. And just like you said, you thought that it would just go away, but on the contrary, it just simmered. It
Yeah.
simmered and simmered, right? So one thing too that happens in couples that like disconnect and there is that they're unable to resolve, um, you know, um, the shutting down is maybe also one spouse has been the one that has been dominating the conversation, and they just like anything that the spouse says is like no, 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 it cannot be done that way, and it's like it's my way or the highway.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and
That's
then the
not good.
person, it's not good, right?
Yeah.
And then that person then feels like, you know what, they're just going to attack me. I just rather not even
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
even try. So you start seeing your spouse say, okay, sure, whatever you say. If
When
you hear that phrase, whatever
Yeah.
you say, it's
No,
it's
it's
not
not.
good. Yeah.
It's not. Yeah.
Yeah.
When someone's feelings are unheard long enough, then eventually they'll stop trying.
Yeah. Say
And
it
that's
again.
when you get into
Yeah.
trouble, right? When a spouse when a spouse, their feelings are unheard for a long period of time, eventually they're going to stop trying, and then that's when you start
That's so good. Yeah.
being disconnected. You start shutting down, because your feelings are not going to be heard. Not going to be heard. I heard you and I have heard a lot of like emotional training, and one of the trainings that we took, they said that an unprocessed emotion is going to bring a lot of trouble, because you're going to carry it with you and it's going to be there until it gets processed. But if you learn to process the emotion, guess what? It takes like 5 seconds to
It
process
does.
that emotion with your spouse. Like if you process that emotion, like it's out of your mind, out of your heart, out of your body, and it's something that is like the Lord built in our whole being, that that's something that we need to process. So we need to cross that threshold, so like that our emotions, our feelings are being heard, and we don't start shutting down with time. As time process,
That
like
is so good.
like we start just
Yeah.
start shutting the shutting down process begins, and we don't want that.
Yeah. And I think that trying, there's the difference between effort versus coasting in a relationship when the spouse is seeing effort, you trying to communicate, you trying to do this, rather than just like, whatever, I don't even care. That coasting, then it's like, okay, there's a future here. There's something that we can
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
And that is something that can bring healing to your relationship if you are really putting in the effort to lean in and listen and to empathize with what your spouse is saying.
And that is a real good point, because whenever there's effort, sometimes, like if you're new to really learning to build a red hot marriage, right? You don't have all the tools, so you're gonna stumble along trying to find your way through getting your marriage to a healthy place. That's effort, and that's beautiful. That's the way it should look.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. But when you start coasting it, you said, man, I can't do this.
Yeah.
You shut down, and hear the difference. Like I can't do this. You shut down, and then your partner, your wife, your husband is continuing to try to build, but you're just coasting. You're saying whatever you want, whatever you want, whatever you want.
Yeah.
Now that's a clear sign of a shutdown.
And trying softens you.
Yes.
And when you are just coasting, it hardens
Yeah.
you. Because like, well, fine, I'm not going to do it either.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it. And
Yeah.
then now you have two people that are at odds with each other, trying to live this married life, and it just won't work.
It's not going to work like that. It's not going to work. Well, another beautiful part of effort is the vulnerability of effort. The vulnerability of saying, man, I don't even know how this looks like. I don't even know how to do it, but I'm here. Like I want to continue to argue. I'm going to continue this confrontation, this conversation, whatever it takes. I'm here and I want to figure it out. Like I don't even know. That's a beauty in that conflict. That's a beauty in that tension. That if you dive in deeper into the effort part, you're going to discover healing, you're going to discover growth, you're going to discover connection, attachment, you're going to discover so many things in effort, even though it feels uncomfortable.
Yeah, so the silent resentment is what makes the relationship so dangerous. Whenever you start not voicing what is happening inside of you, not voicing the things that you hope that you would be receiving from your spouse, and that silent resentment is probably the fastest killer of marriages because you carry that resentment, and like we've shared in the past, no one knows that you are resenting your spouse, only you.
Yeah, because you don't share it.
Because you don't share
Right.
it exactly, and
And
that
then all of a sudden you break out, you're mad.
you're like, you didn't
yeah.
do this, you were mean to me.
No one ever
3 years
knew.
ago. It's like, no, exactly, no
Yeah.
one even had an idea what was happening, right? But people often think, well, at least we're not fighting, like we're just like we're living in peace, we're not screaming at each other,
Yeah.
we're just kind of, but what you're doing is coasting. You're really not living. You're not connecting.
That's a great indicator of coasting
Yeah,
right there.
you're just coasting,
Yeah.
just kind of chilling in
Yeah.
this marriage. But there's no intimacy. There's no growth. There's no relation connection. So all the things that God intended for your marriage to have, you don't have.
You don't have.
You don't
yeah.
have because you've decided to just keep the peace.
Yeah,
and coast.
and it's like that. Definitely is a silent killer.
It is.
Yeah, a silent killer because the more that you coast, if you think about it, you're coasting. Either your partner, your wife, or your husband, they're gonna get tired of chasing you around to try to connect while you're just coasting, right? Like if you think about a car coasting downhill with the engine off, just momentum taking the car down. That's in essence the picture of someone that is not engaged emotionally in the relationship, that is shutting down, that they're just coasting downhill with no effort, like hands off, right? While the other partner might be running behind that car saying, I want to connect with you, I want to be with you. Eventually, guess what? Eventually that partner is going to say, man, now they're going to start shutting down. And that's definitely not the picture that you want.
I'm thinking of a couple that we counseled years ago, and they had come in, and it was a situation where there was an affair that had happened. Anyway, and she was really wanting to make her marriage work. She was like, I don't care what we need to do. Like, I want to make it work. She went through all the classes, tried to really help her marriage. Husband then is not wanting to do the work. Then all of a sudden, she's like, you know what? Never mind.
Give up.
And she gave up. She gave up. And then the roles reversed. Then he was like, please help me save my marriage because she doesn't want to talk to me and everything. Ultimately, that couple ended up in divorce because the shutdown had happened for so long that it was impossible to then reconnect. And why would anyone allow themselves to get to that point without really doing the work themselves?
Absolutely.
And it's sad. It's sad when you see couples, get to that place of complete discontentment. They are unable to find the things that they love about each other that connected them. And ultimately, they end up, with a broken family because of shutdown.
Yeah. You're going to hear us say this over and over again. Red hot marriage is a journey. It's not like a destination. Like you don't arrive at a red hot marriage. It is a continual building journey to build a red hot marriage. And you have to deal with things like what we're talking about today. Why does someone shut down? Well, we have to work through that.
Yeah.
We have to identify what is the reason why someone is shutting down. And I think some of the things that you mentioned has been because when someone is unheard, their emotions are unheard for a long period of time, they're going to start not trying. They're going to stop, like that couple. They're going to start trying. At a certain point, they're going to start. You hate to say this, but at some point, what is the limit on how much you try
Right.
before you see any change? I mean, common sense tells you that you're putting in the effort. You is because you want to make it work, right? And that if you're not seeing no reciprocity, well, that's gonna hurt because you're putting all your strength, all your effort, but on the other side, there's no one saying, "Hey, I wanna again continue to build this."
Yeah, and let's talk to couples that maybe they just got married and they're learning how to do this for the first time. That they've maybe seen that it wasn't modeled very well in their home.
Yeah.
That they don't really even know. Like they've seen things done a certain way, and now you are building this marriage, right? You're hoping to build a red hot marriage, honest, open, and transparent marriage. You're gonna have to do things differently than maybe
Yes.
how you saw it modeled in your home. Maybe you didn't have a father or a mother that was there, that was
I'm
at
so sorry.
present. Yeah.
Yeah.
But now as an adult, you have to take that responsibility
Yes.
and create something different
Yes.
for yourself,
Yeah.
for your marriage,
Yeah.
right? And you're not going to have the outcome that maybe your parents had if you do things differently.
Yeah.
So, in learning how to connect with one another, it is really expressing what is going on in your heart, going on in your mind. When you feel the urge to shut down, kind of sit with yourself. And this is something good that I work with the ladies and say, like, what really am I feeling? Because I could be angry at my husband. He's like, he doesn't do all these different things. No, no, no. What am I feeling?
Yeah.
I am feeling that I am being taken for granted. I am feeling alone in this. I feel that no one really cares for me. Okay, so all those feelings, all those things, those are things that he needs to hear.
Yeah.
And the husband on the other end, your job is going to be like, wow, honey, I did not know you were feeling that way. What can I do to help support you? Okay. How am I making you feel lonely? What is my part in this in helping now repair? Because part of the shutdown comes when one spouse is feeling unheard, unnoticed, unloved, when things have happened in the relationship. Now, it could be because this is simply the way that they've learned to cope with life, that they
Yeah.
just shut down.
Yeah.
They just
Yeah.
don't want to address it. But if it's the latter, then this is something that the spouse and that is there can help guide, right? The spouse that is hurting
Yeah.
into like, hey, let me help you come out of this. What's really going
Yeah.
on beneath
That's
the
a great
surface?
tool. That's great. That's
And
great.
sitting and doing that with one another is going to create that closeness, but also it's going to give you just a glimpse at where their heart is and what it is that they are been experiencing
Yeah.
and how alone they feel. I love something that my bestie says. She mentions that, years ago with her learning how to do this marriage thing too, when they first got married, she would say, honey, I feel like I'm flying this plane alone. Like I am the only one here, and it goes, I need my co-pilot. And I love
Yeah,
that because
that's good.
it's really the way that marriage is. You have a co-pilot.
Yeah.
And if you're flying this plane, you're trying to land it, right, in greener pastures. Lord, if it's only one person, they're just going to crash. They're going to crash because they're
That
going to
is
burn
true.
out.
Yeah.
And this is the part that God has made us to be that co-pilot to our spouse, to be
Yeah.
able to get to the place that He's called us to go.
Yeah.
But it's going to take both of us working through the hard stuff so that we can get to that nice, sweet spot,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
marriage.
And what you mentioned about the wife sitting and thinking about what's going on, and that part of the equation might be easier for wives to do, but I feel that whenever you hear your wives come to you and say those things, don't jump and start getting defensive. In other words, because you might have things to say too, but at that moment, it's not about you. It's about you listening to your wife. Later, couple days later, you sit down and you tell your wife what's on your heart. The things that came out like in your heart when she was saying these things, think through them, and then find a way to also say them and communicate. Like, don't let those things remain in your heart. Like, you share the things that have become a burden, and that, guess what? That avoids the shutdown. You're no longer shut down. When you share the things that matter, you're no longer in shutdown mode. You are saying it, and you get to work through them. And that's what's beautiful about marriage.
Yeah. Well, I know that in our relationship too, that we've had moments where I just express what is going on, or you tell me what
Yeah.
is going on, and I'm just, okay, babe, listening to you. And then we come back a day later, and I'll just tell you, like, honey, what you shared yesterday was really hard to hear, but thank you for being honest with me.
Yeah.
Because that is, now I know what has been hurting you and what has been just really on your mind.
Right.
So thank you for sharing that. And it's like, oh, wow, that felt so good, because now we're connected heart to heart.
Yes.
And we're able to have those conversations that are challenging,
Yeah.
but that get us clear to that deeper intimacy that we're working hard every
Yeah.
day to
Yeah.
attain.
Yeah. So I think just a clear like definition, or a clear distinction. Whenever someone is shutting down, slowly shutting down, that means that this is a clear indicator that they start saying things like, okay, do whatever you want. Okay, we'll go with you. We'll go with whatever, because that's a clear indicator. So whenever you hear that in your marriage, it's a great time for you to make space and talk about that.
I like the saying, and I wrote it down. It says, silence in marriage isn't always peace. Sometimes it's surrender.
Oh, wow. Yeah. You don't want to get to a place of surrender.
You don't. You don't. This too. People don't shut down because they are weak. They shut down because they feel unheard.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what a privilege we have that we don't have to walk this life alone, that we get to walk it together and help one another,
Yeah. Yeah.
come out of those places that feel dark.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Wow.
Yeah.
Why do people shut down? Yeah. I think that we answered that question today, honey. I think. So this was a great episode on Red Hot Marriage. I want to encourage you to go to all our socials, to go to our Apple Podcasts, Spotify, go to Instagram, like and comment something you heard something here that you enjoyed that is feeding your marriage. Go and do it.
So let's keep building
Let's keep building a red hot marriage. Love you, honey.
I love you, baby.